Yeah. So Josh was working on this project with he and I were working on it together around the NFTs, and we wanted to do something that was a little bit different than what most people were doing, because you have, like, you can see over my shoulder this idea of the personal profile photo, and that's cool because that's like you can do great art there, but it's also a mechanic for creating community and affinity and all these other things. And we're like, well, we could really showcase some broader variety of art because we're an artist centric project. And I remember him saying, hey, I have to get Mac to do one of the pieces, but he wasn't sure if you would do it. So ScoJo, tell me what you're thinking along those lines.
Well, in terms of getting the min passes, or how I got Mac to do it.
I would maybe both, but
okay. I mean, as far as the min passes are concerned, I mean, we wanted to bring our A game, and I knew Mac would bring that, but we wanted a variety. So we wanted to showcase all different types of artists. We wanted traditional artists. We wanted digital artists. We wanted possibly animators, even generative artists who make it with code. And obviously for animation and film, Mac was the first on my mind. So it took a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a couple Facebook battles about NFTs to maybe get him engaged a little bit. And we had some pretty good conversations about that. And it's funny thing is, I don't disagree with a lot of what Mac was saying, but yeah, I did want to get Mac into it. I'm not sure what did it besides our friendship. What made you want to do this?
I'm an outward skeptic, and it's fun to be curmudgeon-y. I mean I can't see it over there, but I mean I built a machine that you put your arm in, and it's got a cam arm, and it's an old drill, and it takes all the hard work of shaking your fist.
Let's see it.
It's kind of in the corner. It's strapped to the wall. It's kind of
okay. Yeah.
But like, it's a fist shaking machine. Like, I made a machine to shake your fist for you, so it could take the hard work out of shaking your fist. So I enjoy that. I've moved from skeptic into curmudgeonry at a pretty early age. So to some degree, it's a role. But I have big problems with art and commerce. I have big problems with the marriage of art and commerce. And they're personal problems. They're like, when I say problems, like I have sort of philosophical issues that I'm working out. And I see sort of the mirepoix of culture, of politics, economy, and then culture creating sometimes a sour soup. And so the world of NFTs are entering into the art making process as a decidedly kind of with an economic DNA. They just are. That's kind of part of the way that it's baked in, which brings up sort of philosophical problems, not insolvable, it's over, this is bad, not even judgments, but just quandaries. And so that's more about the skepticism that I'm bringing to it, is more about like examining those. I say this as someone who works as a commercial director. I say this as someone who's sold my art, like I've made fine art pieces and someone's bought them. So I interface with the economy all the time, but just I kind of want to go into it questioning. And Josh, with you and I have been talking about either deeply meaningful or deeply meaningless crap for like 30 years. So it was this kind of, the one thing that you've always brought to projects, which I've always admired, is just a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and positivity. And so I figure, it's my job to bring the negativity, but to some degree to counter that, because I know I'm going to have an argument where but the positivity you bring to it, you don't just go, oh, well, it's okay, it's a good thing, right? You actually have a stance, a viewpoint, and a philosophy. So that's part of the reason that debate felt healthy to me, was that we were talking about, what that means. But the reality is NFTs are a new way of sharing stories. All art is storytelling, right? I'm not talking about a grand narrative arc. I'm not talking about the Fountainhead, for example. But it's the emotion. It's a visceral moment. It's an interpreted thing. We're sharing stories. We're sharing art. So that is the basis. They have a possibility of being a very good thing. Being monetized to the point of a tradable commodity that's elitist, alienating, and sort of like, weaponizes the 1%, that's a bad thing. But they're not going to be either or. They're going to be a multitude of those things. And it's happening. Like, this is the way art is being made. So when you asked me to be part of it, I was like, well, I'm not going to do it on my own because I'm a grumpy old man who's got a terribly large selection of button-down sweaters for someone my age. But Josh is going to bring me into this fold, and I'm going to trust and go for it and see what happens. So,
well, thanks for being open for that.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
Well, that's like an exquisite explanation. I like that.
It's long. I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
Well, but this is a nuanced discussion, and what you'll see if you spend much time on Twitter is you'll see the pro rah folks who will just be, it's a new age, and that's about as much as they go into. They might stop and say everyone else is dumb or never going to make it, the NGMI. And then on the other side, they're like, it's just a JPEG. You guys are all fools. And they're both wrong, right? There's layers to this. There's some good and some bad that's coming. There's plenty of bad coming from this because I see it and we talk about it on the Notorious show from time to time. But there's so much good. And I would say that you mentioned the word elitist. And there's certainly some of that because we're all humans. And as soon as people have something, like we even see this in crypto Twitter and NFT Twitter, they embrace some people and they exclude others, right? It's very tribal. It's like humans just want to be a part of a group. And, part of the way they feel like part of the group is they disparage others as well as supporting their own. So we see some of that. Like for the most part, NFT Twitter is actually very supportive, but I start seeing like these human reactions filtering in where they're rallying the troops and being against somebody as well, because there's a certain amount of cohesion. So I see that. I definitely see the people who have just done it as a cash grab, but I also see something like 1,000x more art collectors than we saw a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's this is amazing. People who would never consider themselves art collectors now consider themselves art collectors. And they're going down this road that has been really exclusionary up to this point. It's kind of like the way wine has been compared to beer, right? And it's just like, you have to know this certain type of people. You have to be with these certain type of people. You have to know these things. It's very exclusionary. It's all gallery run. As much as they tried to make it for the people, it just really wasn't for the people. Yeah. This is for the people. Like anybody with a MetaMask wallet can participate.
And that's fascinating. I mean, I went to a show at, it was Marlborough Gallery or something, like a fancy Chelsea gallery. And I remember it was like 2 years ago. Well, the gallery is still open. And it was really weird because there was a person with a blue coat. I'm just going to be very political here. It was a person of color with a blue coat, like a hired, like the people that museums hire constantly, right? Like you've got all these like 17th century white dudes in the wall, and you've got in New York like a legion of people of color hired to stand. It's that caste system is undeniable when you go into the art set. And I saw that at a gallery, and I was like, wow. It's like I'm watching the sort of like the system move from museum to now gallery, whereas the galleries in New York have not recently, but years ago used to be this kind of almost egalitarian space because it was this free ability to go see a different world of different versioning art. But it's changed a lot, and a lot of it, and this is what I was talking about earlier. This is where when you're talking about the intersection sort of mirepoix, you're talking about like economy gets involved, and you got $75,000 of rent to cover for your gallery.
Right.
Your practice is going to change, and the people that you cater to, and the people that you need to cater to, because $75,000 a month is a crazy rent. It's going to change the art you show. It's going to change the people you target that art for, and it's going to change the ideas being exchanged in that conceptual marketplace. So I left the art world. I had a gallery for years, and total amicable terms. It just didn't feel like a place where I wanted to exchange my ideas, and then getting a price tag on them felt weird like that, right? Amongst those white walls. So in that sense, this NFT world is incredibly encouraging because at least for now, and you know, maybe it won't stay this way, but at least for now, it's democratizing the trading of and the collection of imagery. The collection of imagery is a little weird, sure, but the sense of ownership in relationship to, or at least partnership with something in relation to art, it's exciting. I mean, buying art is a really cool feeling. It feels great. It feels really cool. It feels like unlike anything else when you purchase something like that, and it can be a commodity. It can be a real visceral connection. And, you know, I think they're like what you said a minute ago, thousands more art buyers, thousands more collectors. Actually, not art buyers, 1,000 more collectors, because the term art buyers, I feel like, is kind of new. And I feel like that's in the past 10, 15 years. Maybe I'm wrong. But art buyers are like, that's weird. Art buyers. What about collectors? What about people like interested in art and they want to be part of this? So that's the part that, you know, that's part of Josh's positivity push that really caught my ear. That was thinking about like being able to get thought, creativity, and in some physical form, even though non-fungible, out there into the world is a cool, it's a cool concept. Sharing is cool.